guys, this is Justin Main, and I wanted to welcome you to Ask Justin Main a Question. It's my brand new YouTube series where you get to ask me literally any question you want, and I will give you my 100% honest opinion on it. Or I'll just give you stories, or depends on what the question is, I'll just answer it as truthfully as I can. So let's get to the questions. Alright, so the first question comes from Mark Romulus from Facebook. My question will be, what do you like playing, a heel or a face? And do you think I could fit as a manager, heel or face? Well, throughout my career I've mainly been booked as a heel, or a bad guy if you're not familiar with the term. Primarily because I think people look at me and they automatically think I'm a huge asshole. But it's one of those things where I can kind of do any role, whatever is needed of me to do. I personally like playing the face a little bit more than the heel, even though the heel is a little bit funner. I get to let loose, I get to relax a little bit more in the role. But when it comes to playing the face, there is a certain quality to it that if you don't do it right, you can't get a reaction. And to me, that's actually very challenging, and I like having that challenge in the ring. So I would say out of heel and face, it's funner to play heel, but it's more challenging, and if you can get it right, more rewarding to play a babyface. As for you, being a manager, all I have to do is just recommend for you to go to a wrestling school and see what works best for you. There's the House of Truth over in, I believe it's like Warren now. You can go there, they'll teach you how to be a manager. Based off of the previous conversations that I've had with you, I would tend to think that you probably make a very good heel manager. Alright, so this question is from Lily Nepper from Instagram. Will you sub to my channel on YouTube? If you give me a link to your YouTube, I will. This question is from Dropkick Apparel on Instagram, aka one of my sponsors. Please pick up something from dropkickapparel.com. It's a local company in Akron that makes some high quality wrestling t-shirts and just Akron specialized gear like hats and shirts and beer koozies and all that. If you use Justin Main at checkout, you can actually save 10%, so check out dropkickapparel.com. But anyways, their question was, what was the first wrestling match you remember seeing growing up? I don't offhand remember the first wrestling match I remember as a kid. What I do remember was Sting rappelling from the rafters on an episode of Nitro. And I remember a couple of friends of mine on the playground, I think I was in like 3rd or 4th grade, telling me about like how this guy with like face paint was beating up this group called the NWO. And they told me what channel it was on, what time it was on, what day, and I checked it out. I'm like, this sounds kind of awfully weird. It doesn't sound like, real life. And I see, as soon as I put it on, I see Sting in like his black and white face paint with his trench coat and his badge just dropping straight down from the rafters. And he just goes in there and he cleans house. It was that classic moment where he just literally beats the ever-living hell out of every NWO member in the ring. And I remember watching that and I was like, whoa, like this is so cool that like, this isn't like a cartoon, it's not like a movie or anything, it's this actual guy like doing all these actual things in the ring that I never thought I'd ever be able to see. So that was that was for sure my first wrestling experience, my first memory that I have of it. This question is from FaithBills14 on Instagram. What got you into doing wrestling? This kind of piggies back off of the other question about what made me, what was like my first memory and what made me like become a fan. What made me get into wrestling was actually an interesting experience that I had when I went to the 2005 Survivor Series. I was sitting in 5th row with one of my friends, his name's Andrew. Hey, Andrew. But we were sitting in 5th row, and it was during the Triple H and Ric Flair match. They had like a last man standing match. they brawled into the crowd at the Joe Louis Arena, and I'm freaking out at this point. I'm a huge CM Punk fan, so I had my wrist taped up and I had X's on the back of the hand. So I thought it was like really cool. I was gonna flash the camera, and I think you could actually see me for like half a second. But anyway, so we're sitting in fifth row. They're brawling right past us. So cool, Triple H and Ric Flair, these two legends in the business, coming right past me. So I reach over to go grab my camera. This is back in the day when cell phone cameras were not very good, and I had a digital camera. So I went to go pick up my camera, and as soon as I went to turn back around, I got knocked over. And I'm talking like when I got knocked over, I flew over a few seats. And I didn't know what exactly hit me until I turned back around and I saw Triple H kind of like standing right off to the side of me, just like staring down Ric Flair. And it blew my mind because here's this huge guy, Triple H, right there, literally shoulder blocked me, and I flew 10 feet into a chair. I didn't even know how to react. I just kind of sat there stunned, and then Ric Flair came up, punched him in the face, and then Ric Flair all of a sudden is standing right in front of me. Like, you can literally hear them breathing. That's how close they were. As soon as they went back to the ring, it kind of like transformed me. That was like, I think that was the moment. That was actually that was the moment where I knew that I had to do that for a living. And it wasn't so much just. It wasn't so much just getting into wrestling, but entertaining. Period. I've always been the type of person that likes to entertain and make people happy. So to make someone feel an emotion like that was very profound to me, and it made me really take getting into wrestling seriously, because if there's one thing I always wanted to be, it was a Power Ranger, kick people's butts and all that, but the other thing I wanted to be was somebody who made other people happy, and the best combination of both was professional wrestling. This question is from Sandy SKC. Hey Sandy, from Instagram. Who do you most admire as a wrestler in today's WWE? And then in WWE of all time, and then in indie wrestling. So, the one guy that I look up to the most in WWE, and this has kind of been, I guess, in today's current roster, would be Chris Jericho. I looked up to him as a kid. I looked up to him as a teenager. I looked up to him as soon as I got into the business. He was never a big guy. He was never, he was never like 6'2". He was never 225 pounds. He used raw, charismatic appeal, and he used his ungodly given talent in the ring to get him to where he was. And he wasn't always just naturally athletic. He was somebody who built up his athleticism just by repetition and practice and just loving what he did. And watching him was one of the big things in terms of how I got to my style and how I developed my moveset and how I portray myself in the ring was almost a direct influence off of him. Eddie Guerrero was another one, Shawn Michaels as well. Those three, never big guys, but super talented, super charismatic, and they always put on a performance as well as a really good wrestling match. So I think in order to be a successful wrestler, you have to have like a combo of the two. You can't just be a very, very solid wrestler and then have like no personality. And likewise, you can have a ton of personality, but if you suck in the ring, you're not really going to go as far as you could. So it's a matter of having the combination of the two and being able to put it out there as best as you possibly can. So those three were big influences for me. Indie wrestling wise, currently in today's day and age, I'm a huge fan of Lio Rush. Tiny guy, but oh my god, the fact that he's been in the business for like a year and a half and he's as solid as he is, it's scary. He's going to be one of the best cruiserweights ever, I feel, coming up. If things go according to plan, he stays injury free. As long as everything goes well, he is going to be one of the greats. Another one that I'm really looking at is ACH. He reminds me of a very young AJ Styles, but with so much and so much personality that he can't just stay on the independents. He has to go somewhere with it. He was born to entertain, and he was born to be in front of millions of people. So I think ACH is going to be another, great talent that's going to get picked up sooner rather than later. And yeah, so hopefully that answers your question. All right, this question is from Wrestle Talk Division on Instagram. How long does it take to get into the wrestling business? It's different for everybody. For me personally, I went on the road a few times. I learned on the road back before I got officially trained with Dave DuPont and CIW. I just got in the ring, worked around a little bit. They showed me some moves, bumped around. They kind of, showed me the ropes. It was very old school the way I learned with them. About a year later or so, I got my official training through Briar Wellington, who had a hand in training Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, and a few other talents. So I did an official 12-week course with him, and then I was done after that. So I mean, for everybody has a different learning rate. Some people it could be, a few months. Other people it could be a couple of years. I've heard stories of people training for a few years before they were even ready to set foot in an actual match. So it could be different for everybody. And then your other question was, how do you manage to have a spouse? I have no idea what you're talking about. Do you have another job to pay bills? Yes and no. My full-time job outside of professional wrestling and acting is as a personal trainer for Lifetime Fitness in Novi. I've been doing that for about 3 years now. I have experience with bodybuilding, body recomposition, corrective exercise, athletic performance, obviously. So if you ever want to, get some training done and whatnot, just head up to Lifetime Novi and I can help you out. And then his last question was, and he asked me a ton of questions, if you were in jail, would you want to be on top or bottom? I ask everyone that. Sure you do. I would not be in jail because I don't do anything illegal. This question comes from Fluffy Maniac on YouTube. What keeps you motivated to do all these workouts? A few different things. Number one, I enjoy doing it. It's kind of like my stress reliever. Some people like to draw and paint. They like to write. I like to work out. It centers me, puts me in a good place. It's a good way to just relieve stress and be able to really focus on myself and developing myself further via physical means. So that's kind of like my big thing with working out. So that's what keeps me consistent. What keeps me motivated is just being able to perform well in the ring and look good in the ring. Because if you don't, and you'll see this a lot on the independents, you'll see these guys that are super talented, but they don't give a crap about staying in shape and perfecting their body and whatnot, and they could make it so much further in the business if they just had a decent build. And I don't want to be one of those guys where I'm really talented, but then I don't have a build and I can't get anywhere because nobody wants to book me because I don't have a good package to show. So in order to back up the talent that I want to have, I also have to have the body that I want. Likewise, I also have to be able to perform well. If I can't pick up a 300 or 400 pounder on my shoulders, or I can't do a backflip because I don't have the right hip strength, then it's going to affect how I perform in the ring. So there is kind of a double motive as to why I work out, and it's primarily, actually the way I do is primarily based off of that. So there's a couple different things that keep me motivated in that regard. But the trick is honestly just consistency. You need to find whatever's going to make you consistent. Whether it's yoga, it could be Pilates, it could be, you know, it could be like body weight exercises. It could be running. It could be a marathon. Find that goal that really sticks out to you, and push it as far as you can. I always tell people that the most successful people are always the ones that want it the most. They won't make any excuses. Doesn't matter how busy they are. If you want something bad enough, you'll find a way to get it. This question, actually two of them, are from Heartthrob Hero. They sent me an email. If you could choose one wrestling match to show someone who has never watched pro wrestling before to explain why you love it so much, what match would you pick? So that's the first question. I'd probably pick Melina versus Alicia Fox. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't pick that at all. The match I would probably choose would be, in terms of overall entertainment value, the emotion that the match brings out and elicits, in terms of actual quality performance in the ring, like wrestling ability and all that, just the way the story is structured. Pretty much any match with Shawn Michaels. But the one in particular I'm thinking of is Chris Jericho versus Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania. I forget what WrestleMania. I'm not good with the dates and the numbers and all that, but Chris Jericho versus Shawn Michaels would be absolutely one of the matches I would show. The match is structured so beautifully. Basically, the fan looking up to his idol and trying to outbeat his idol. But you can see that story in the ring. They don't have to verbally tell you. It's more of a physical type of message relaying. Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker, the first match that they had at WrestleMania, that would be another one I would probably show. Eddie Guerrero versus Brock Lesnar from No Way Out. I think it was 2003, 2004. Phenomenal match. One of the best stories of the underdog beating Goliath, David beating Goliath. That was a fantastic match I think anybody could enjoy. Bryan Danielson beating out not only Batista, but then Triple H, and who else did he beat? Like Randy Orton on WrestleMania. Like that was, that's crazy. So yeah, I'd probably show those matches for sure. I think they're entertaining enough for a wide audience. People can buy into the story, and they're just really good, high-quality wrestling matches. And then your second question was, which is the most sensual of the five senses to you, and why? Probably taste, because I like eating. I get hangry if I don't eat. I could probably out-eat anybody, actually, and I'm putting this challenge right here on YouTube. Please come and try me, because I will eat a ton of food in one sitting and nobody can beat me. Especially if it's frozen yogurt from Menchie's. By the way, Menchie's, if you want to sponsor me, that'd be fantastic. So I believe that's all the questions that I have. If I forgot any of them or if I missed any, I apologize. I'll make sure I answer them next week. If you want to ask me a question, all you have to do is send it to me via comment on this video, or you can email me at justinmainofficial@gmail.com. You can add me on Facebook at justinmainofficial. You can send me the question on there. Or you can add me on Instagram, which would be justinmainofficial as well, or Twitter at justinmainoff. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you next week. Stay starstruck.